Hello, everyone. I'm Christina Giordano, the founder of Sold. That is SOUL''D. And it is your go-to resource for soulful entrepreneurship. And my philosophy is this: people can no longer be sold to, they must be sold to. Again, SOUL''D. And this is essentially selling with soul. This is marketing with integrity, where you no longer need to compromise your authenticity, your boundaries, your uniqueness, your wholeness. This is messaging in a way that actually reflects the transformation you provide, because it's your story, your transformation, and nobody can compete with that. And finally, this is monetizing yourself in a way that honors your fullness, all of the pieces and parts of you that are meant to be divinely resourced. So you'll join me every Wednesday to learn all of this and more. Let's jump in. So today's episode is called How My Philosophy of Marketing Did a Complete 180. So I'll begin with my story. And this is one variation of my hero's journey, which is a component of the Sold brand. So where do I begin? I feel like I wasn't super conscious of my story until just a few years ago, when life flipped it all upside down, as it does. So, long story short, I graduated with a degree in marketing and then started as a marketing assistant at a massage therapy school. 4 years later, I was running the department, but more than that, I was getting really into wellness. Now, of course, I had a bunch of body workers, practitioners, massage therapists all around me. So, it goes to show that your environment really does determine an element of your lifestyle. So again, when you're surrounded by body workers and people who take care of themselves in ways outside of Western methodologies, you tend to learn some things. So let's talk for a minute about some of the things I started getting into. So at the very beginning, I started getting into meditation. And if I think back, I believe it was the Honest Guys. That's the group. I don't even know if they're called a group, but those are the YouTube videos that I would watch. It was by the Honest Guys. And I have checked in on them over the years, and they are still producing and publishing videos and essentially audio tracks of guided meditations. And there was something about their voice and the serenity of it and the calmness of it and the peace that I felt doing it that made me realize that this is something that I absolutely love. And I felt different, and I started to be different. And so this was affecting my way of being, but also the anxiety that I would experience, the depression that I would experience, um, the reactivity that I would experience, the frustration that I would experience. And so meditating, at least in those early years back in 2013, was really a way for me to calm down and experience a moment of peace. And so that's something that I've kept doing over the years. So I continue meditating to this day. I also journal and do breath work, and I love some yoga. I see. I especially love hot yoga, like really, really sweaty, steamy hot yoga. And this is just the stretching one, not the jumping one. I don't know what I would do in that one, but I love it, and it's one of those things that brings me back to myself. So those are a few things that I've really adopted into my lifestyle over the years, and now they are habits. I don't go a day without doing at least one of them. Now, some of the things that didn't work were essentially anything that I couldn't stick to. So anything that was really disruptive or interfered with my daily schedule. So like things that where I would have to leave or go somewhere or do anything. I wanted to be able to have my rituals, my methods available to me on the spot whenever I needed them. So I structure everything now to be readily available. And I do it in a way that is something for me to look forward to. So I've really ritualized all of the things that I do for myself to bring me to a place of alignment and empowerment and knowing that I'm in my own energy and that nothing else is there with me. So what does my energy or what does my routine look like now? Right now, I always start with a morning routine, and that typically involves 10 minutes of breath work. So I wake up, I do 10 minutes of breath work. This is after I get ready for the day, brush my hair, brush my teeth, all those things. Um, And so after that, usually my boys, I have two young boys who are 2 and 5, they're waking up at that time. This is like 6:30 at this point. And it's about getting them ready for the day. So I do a lot of chores, I get the laundry started, and then they're off. And after that, I have a lot of time for myself. And so, depending on the day, depending on my mood, depending on what I have scheduled, I'll usually insert breaks of breath work in there because I find that throughout the day, especially in the morning when I'm using the most energy, throughout the day, I am highly sensitive to my environment and to other energy that I need to regularly come back to myself. I need to regularly come home to myself. So it's necessary because it keeps me in integrity with myself. It keeps me grounded and it keeps me coming home back to who I am at home here within my body. And so going back to what we're talking about earlier, because I was surrounded by body workers and because there wasn't really I had reached kind of a ceiling in that version of my career. There wasn't really anything else to do at the school, nothing higher to aim for. I decided to leave and start my own business. And this was at the end of 2012. I started my business in June of 2013. And I did it. And it was great. I felt so alive. I was making my own decisions, my own schedule. I had financial freedom, location freedom, and I was living the life as a young single entrepreneur living in downtown Chicago. And I was 25 at this point. So I was definitely living it up. But let me give you an idea of the kind of marketing that I did back then. So I was doing a lot of implementation work. So acting as a marketing director, content marketing, email marketing. And I also worked with agencies as a contractor. And all of these things that I did, whether it was the actual method itself of marketing, like content marketing or even graphic design, these things all came with their own lessons. And with agencies, that came with its lessons too. So agencies would usually contract me as a public relations professional because I that was one of my many things that I did. Um, and they also would use me for social media marketing and various things like that. So really a lot of digital work, but also that publicist type of piece too. And it taught me a lot about being in my power, what it feels like to be taken advantage of or not and when I say that I mean taken advantage of in terms of the hours put in versus what I'm giving versus receiving. That's what I'm referring to. And so it made me understand aligned partnerships a lot better. What does it feel like to be an aligned partnership or an aligned collaboration? And I also worked with a variety of other clients outside of the industry. And that basically showed me I like to be around a certain type of person, a certain type of service professional. And what I found is that the wellness industry is kind of my thing. So therapists, coaches, body workers, practitioners, people along those lines. During this time, I also co-founded another business that I eventually left. So this was another lesson in alignment, again, specifically aligned partnerships and lessons and giving my power away. And so a few years later, this is in 2016 now. I met my husband. We got married and I took a step back in my business while we began to start a family. Now, I don't know how many moms are watching or listening, but starting a business or not starting a business, but being a business owner and becoming a mom at the same time is wild. That's probably the best way I could describe it because it was such a pivotal moment for me. It was beautiful, but it's also really, really hard. It was really, really hard for me to understand my new identity as a mom and as an individual, as a wife, as a boss, as a business professional. It took me a while to really integrate all of those pieces together. And thank God for my methods, journaling, meditation, yoga, all of the things that brought me back to myself. They really helped me through this time period. But because of the stress that I was experiencing internally, my business also was going topsy turvy. I mean, at this point, because I was so much more internally aligned with myself and becoming more of myself, my philosophy changed completely, and it evolved to such a degree that I couldn't work in the capacity that I had set up for myself. I could no longer market other people's businesses. That wasn't going to happen anymore. I was strictly available for consulting only, and I only wanted to teach people how to market themselves, and in a way that was nothing like the way that I was already taught. And so this obviously came with some pushback, because marketing from a broader perspective, that's not easy either. And people want to hire out for that. They want other people just doing the work for them, taking care of it, and not have any sort of, they don't want to touch it, especially within this industry of the wellness industry. Now, people can't always afford to have someone on staff like that unless you're a bigger business. But I would get pushback. I would get pushback on this because people wanted, they were like, well, can I just hire you to do that? And I'm like, no, because I don't want to do it anymore. I would rather show you how to do it. And also what I've learned too is that not only do they need to do I want them to do it themselves, but they need to, at the very least, be part of that strategy, because the kind of marketing that I teach now is rooted in the essence of the business owner. Like, it is very much a reflection of the business owner's own soul. Like, it is deep, and there is self-discovery work in there that nobody else can do for you. And so, of course, I didn't know this at the time. This was still before 2020, but I wanted people to feel good about marketing, and I wanted them to feel good about showing them the way to do it. I wanted to feel good in that process myself. And so I started doing this in little ways. I would host workshops about your unique selling proposition, about branding. I did my own email marketing. That was actually, I think back in 2020 was when I actually started. No, not 2020. I'm sorry. It would have been closer to 2018 when I actually started doing my own email marketing, because I relied so heavily on word of mouth that I didn't necessarily need to, but because I was pivoting, I had to move into really kind of figuring things out for myself and doing things in a different way. And so I would teach a more empowered way of marketing, a more aligned way of marketing, but nothing really stuck until 2020. Now, at some point in 2020, I think it was the summer of 2020, I channeled the L.I.F.E method, the soul method, and the L.O.V.E method as a way for people to discover the ways in which they are meant to market themselves. And these methods are, again, tools for self-discovery, not roadmaps themselves. They work with you, not for you. And they help you create marketing strategies that are aligned, authentic, and empowering, which is what marketing is all about today. So I was really kind of ahead of myself when I was channeling these methods. I fully talked about them and I embraced them and I knew what they were supposed to do, but I never predicted that they would be so necessary right now, in a time where buyer consciousness has evolved to such a degree that people are motivated solely by alignment now. We aren't motivated by anything else other than the fact that we get a magnetic feeling with another, with a buy, with whatever someone is selling. Now, I do have an episode coming out in a few weeks that is specifically about the L.I.F.E method, but I'll give you a little teaser of each acronym. So all of my methods are acronyms. That's just how they work. But the L.I.F.E method specifically is identifying and defining your desired lifestyle, which is the L, your desired identity, which is the I, your desired feelings, which is the F, and your desired expression, which is the E. And in identifying these things, you can have greater control over how you want to live, over your desired life, because essentially these are all the things that we have control of to some degree or another. We have some control over our lifestyle. We have total control over our identity. We have total control over our feelings, and then also our expression. So So these are things that we can control. And therefore, by deciding what you want each one to look like and feel like and be like, you catapult yourself into a new reality. And so that's essentially how I help people with messaging and marketing. And this is really, this is marketing with integrity. And so when you're using the L.I.F.E method specifically for marketing, what you're doing is you're aligning your clients to your work the way that you are aligned to your work. Because I mean, as a reflection of your essence, that is really what it's all about. You are aligned to your work in a very specific way. There's something there that matters to you more than anything. And when you speak about it and be about it and show about it in a way that aligns with someone else, that's the magnetic effect. That's when the magic happens. That's when people are like, all right, I got to follow her. I got to buy from her. I got to see what she's all about because she gets it. And this is all marketing, but this is integrity. This is the highest level of integrity. And it's in an effort so that business owners who used to hate marketing and again want to push it off to somebody else, they're no longer compromising their energy, their boundaries, their authenticity, their wholeness. They're really showing up as themselves. And even with the marketing piece, it stems into the messaging piece as well. So I help them message themselves in a way that actually reflects the transformation they provide because it's their story, their transformation, and nobody can compete with that. I mean, how can someone actually compete with your own story, with your hero's journey, with your origin story? How can somebody actually compete with that? They can't. And so this is the thing that makes you stand out. This is this is your competitive edge. This is the unique selling proposition. So we capitalize on that. And yet there's one more piece of the puzzle that came to me in late 2022. And this is kind of like an added bonus to selling with soul, and it has to do with monetization. And I'm going to share that piece of my hero's journey at a later date because I've had my own dealings with finances and money. I've learned a lot. It was one of my foundational life lessons, I'll put it that way. But these are called the money methods, and it's about monetizing yourself in a way that honors your fullness. So all of the pieces of parts in you that, again, are meant to be divinely resourced. So again, I'll go back to those on a later date, but just know that the L.I.F.E method, the soul method, and the love method are really important and pivotal for that marketing and messaging piece. The money methods are really diving into the monetization piece. And this is all about being sold. So all of the methods reflect a philosophy that is so rooted within me that I can truly feel it in my bones. And it's that, again, people can no longer be sold to. They must be sold to, SOUL apostrophe B. And it's when we approach business in this way, with our souls leading the way, that we are truly embodying our essence in a way that humanity never has. There's like a quality of magic to it, like real life grounded practical magic that can be seen and heard, but deeply, deeply felt. It's resonant, it's radiant, and that's because it's real. So you're not BSing anymore. You're not feeling like a fraud anymore. There's no such thing as imposter syndrome because you're showing up in a way that's legit and that it's you. So my mission is essentially to empower entrepreneurs to truly sell with soul in the most practical way possible. Not so that it just feels good for you, but so that it feels good to those you're serving too. That's what it's all about. So that's my hero's journey, at least a little snippet of it. I got a lot more stories to share, but I wanted to start with this one specifically for this episode because this month, especially, I'm talking about storytelling. And it's mostly because I have something special coming up. So I have a masterclass coming up at Tribe in Chicago on Tuesday, May 21st from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. We will each draft our own heroes' journeys in an Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 framework. Now, if you tune into next week's episode, I'm going to kind of dive more into why we want to do this framework. But this is how we're going to start selling with soul. This is how we're going to actually sell with our souls leading the way. And this framework makes it so much easier for you to not only show up, be seen, and shine, which, by the way, is marketing redefined, but it also helps you speak in a way that truly honors your essence. It helps you market in a way that actually feels good. And it helps you embody the essence of your work so that you're more fully in it. Like you're in it. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to be in it. You're in it for the long game. You're in it for long term. You're in it for life. And this is the way to do it. This is the way to really discover all of the ways that you are meant to be, that you are meant to market yourself, the way that you are meant to speak about your work. So we start with the hero's journey. Again, that's Tuesday, May 21st from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. All right. So thank you again for joining me today, and I'll see you next week.